If you use the track up mode, you may encounter a source of confusion with the compass arrow. This is a Garmin nuvi 2250. I'll show you what I mean by this. This applies to all the nuvis and DriveSmarts. So if I go and just adjust the settings, now ordinarily the default map view is in 3D, but if you go to track up, you'll see this little arrow appear. Not the route arrow, but the compass arrow. As in this guy right here. Now, what it looks like is that it's pointing south, but if I look at this, it's like, oh yeah, it's going southwest, but this is actually pointing southeast. It's like, what's the deal here? And I'll let it take a turn. Now it appears to be pointing east. But if I look here, it says I'm going west. What's the deal? The deal is that this arrow, if you're using track up mode, always points north. Now, when you're in track up mode, not to be confused with north up mode, track up mode will show you your current direction. And this says where north is. So north is this way, which means this way is west, and this way is east, and this way is south. So we take that into account. So it says that way is north. That would mean this way is west. And that is exactly the direction that we're currently headed, is west. It is confusing because, well, what you want is you want to know what direction you're currently facing. Now, if you want that information, I think the easiest way to do it is to modify one of the configurable fields and just change it to direction of travel. Then it will tell you at any time the direction you are currently facing, because again, this arrow always points north. So now you'll notice that, let me just change that back to time to destination, and I'll change this over to instead of track up is north up. Now there's no arrow on this one because it shows the direction you are traveling on the map. Hence the reason there is no arrow. Not to be confused with this arrow. I'm talking about that white arrow here. But when you do go to track up, that's when you get that arrow. You're like, okay, and remember, again, this always points north. Now, the last thing I'll say is that if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, well, I really want to keep this the way it is, how can I view what direction I'm currently facing? Well, just tap the speedometer, and it will tell you right there. So say, okay, yep, that's the direction I'm currently facing. For older units like this that do not have trip data fields, that is the way to do it. So again, this arrow, when in track up mode, and only in track up mode, that arrow is always pointing north. Actually, this is the final thing I'll say, because people would probably ask. In 3D mode, no, you don't get that arrow. So no arrow on this one, as in the one that's supposed to be here. But again, you can tap the speedometer and you can view your current facing cardinal direction that way.